Hey everybody, today we watched the HBO Max original Wonder Woman 84. So Aiden, what is the plot of Wonder Woman 1984?
In Wonder Woman 1984, we jump ahead from Wonder Woman to 1984. Wonder Woman gets a magical rock from the CIA that grants wishes, and she accidentally wishes her dead boyfriend Chris Pine back to life. Her new girlfriend person wishes herself into a cat from the Cats musical.
Well, for a while she's just she gets her confidence to become a sexy woman and get superpowers, but then she becomes a cat person.
Yes, and Pedro Pascal, who plays the Mandalorian, plays Mexican Donald Trump, who got bullied as a kid for eating tacos.
And he pissed the bed, so he
And
got beat up.
and he peed his bed. And because of that, he wishes to fuse himself with the Wish Stone to grant everyone's wishes, and almost destroys the world. Connor, what did you think of Wonder Woman 1984?
You know, I thought it was bad. I mean, I seem like such a DC hater, but truthfully, they have had...
They deserved it.
How many hits? Shazam was alright. I never saw Aquaman. Wonder Woman, the first one, was okay. But here's my theory. And I don't even think this is fully to blame Patty Jenkins. I think part of it is the team that surrounds her. But this really felt like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4 if Spider-Man 4 was really awful. Essentially, you have, you had the first Wonder Woman. What was that? It was Captain America the Winter Soldier, not Winter Soldier, First Avenger, but paced better. And this is the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies paced worse.
Yep.
This movie comes in at 2.5 hours, which is way too long for
There's
the
so much nothing happening
wish
in this
upon
movie.
a star bullshit. This movie feels like an hour and a half of plot with an hour of deleted scenes, which Patty Jenkins is quoted as saying that she never deletes any of her scenes because she thinks they're so profound or something. And this movie definitely shows that because like half this shit feels like it should be deleted scenes. There's multiple points where Wonder Woman just jumps logic, like when she's like a 2,000-year-old fucking person. And she didn't at all think it was a bad idea to maybe steal that fucking jet from the Smithsonian. And then she magically has the power to turn it invisible, which she never does in Justice League or Batman v Superman. She has the power to fly around like Superman, which I don't think she did in Justice League or Batman v Superman.
The Lasso of Truth gets a new ability
to see shit, to see the past.
Yeah, like show people the truth besides just making them tell the truth.
She can also see the past. That's how she knew that Pedro Pascal was a big pissy pants.
Yes.
But, Diana never fell in love since Steve Trevor died, and she wishes for Steve Trevor. Steve Trevor basically comes back to life in a different guy's body, and she's like, I don't want you to leave. Ever, and she's not at all concerned or questioning why this man's body was commandeered.
And they fuck.
He fucks multiple times. So I think that's rape.
Yeah.
The fact that the
rapes that guy.
Technically, I mean, Steve Trevor is an accessory to rape when you think about it. And then she meets up with the guy at the end of the movie after Steve Trevor gets wished away again. Spoiler alert. I mean, it was gonna happen. It's obvious once you see the plot is all magic wishing bullshit. And she bangs this random dude. But I will say, back to my point about Spider-Man, they steal a lot of scenes from that. Like, the second Tigra got her powers, she was acting an awful lot like Peter Parker after he got bit in Spider-Man 1. And I was like, there's going to be a scene where she realizes she doesn't need her glasses. And I thought it would be the original transition, but I do have to give them credit. They actually waited till like 20 minutes later.
She wakes up in her bed and she does the Peter Parker thing from the first movie where she's like, whoa, I'm really strong and I can walk in high heels now. And she like touches her glasses and you think she's going to do the exact thing from Spider-Man.
But she doesn't.
But then she doesn't. But then like 10 scenes later, like maybe 5 or 10 minutes later, suddenly she's like, I don't need these glasses anymore.
Yeah, she like takes them off and she's like, I don't need these anymore. I guess I just read so good. But that's stolen from Spider-Man. And then she gets zapped at the end. I'm like, that's stolen from Batman Returns. And then basically everyone acts like a goddamn Spider-Man villain in this movie because Pedro Pascal, he's not a bad guy. He's a good dad, but he peed his pants. But he's also like a con man, but he peed his pants, and that's why he's a bad guy because he was abused. So at the end he becomes friend because he gets reunited with his son. Is there like a part where he's like, I have to face justice, but I'll always love you? No, it's just implied that he just goes back living. He just goes back living and learns to love his son. And fucking Tigra, she's just like, oh, I renounce my wish. And then Diana's like, I want world peace. No,
everyone in the
she
world
somehow broadcasts it through the lasso of truth has the power for her to broadcast through her words, which go on to the satellite for some reason, because Maxwell Lord is in the satellite tube.
And Maxwell Lord can only grant people's wishes if he's touching them, but the satellite shoots energy beams, which makes it so he's technically touching them. So he can grant everyone's wishes at once.
And then the whole world like devolves into chaos because he starts granting people their wishes. And then they make up this rule. The rules for the wishes are unclear because there's a point where he's like, I can wish on the back of other people's wishes when I'm granting the wish. So I already got my first wish, but now I can just keep granting wishes. So he keeps wishing for more bullshit the whole time. And then he's like, I wish for your life. And at first it's all like, I guess like Steve Trevor coming back isn't possible shit. None of it's possible shit, but it didn't seem to like conjure shit up. But then there's a point where they like wish for more nukes, like the U.S. president and all these nukes come, and he's like, I wish I never wished for that. And then the nukes disappear in midair. And it's just like the hokiest bullshit ever.
Oh yeah,
and
cheesy.
Moving past the fact that this movie is a huge rip-off and everything's super cheesy, and Wonder Woman goes to the mall and like kisses little girls, and Linda Carter, the original Wonder Woman, comes back as like the super old OG Wonder Woman, and she winks at the camera and says, I'm the old Wonder Woman. And then she turns her face, looks directly in the camera, winks, and says, I'm the old Wonder Woman or something. So that was pretty weird. But why was this movie set in the I have so many thoughts about this. Why was the CGI so bad? When she was flying through the air, it looked like Chris Donner's Superman, but at least there was a charm where you're like, it's the 70s, you know? They did rear projection and it looks like he's flying in front of the New York City, which is clearly like a choppy, low frame, like helicopter shot. Yeah. But there's a charm to it, where here it's like she's flying through CGI clouds and she's not like moving at all or anything, and it's clear she's just like being held there. Like I don't think they finished the effects because the effects look really bad. Like when she's flying, she's clearly just like sitting there. Like
she flies by like lassoing lightning bolts and clouds and swinging from them like Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
The lasso gives her momentum, a power she never uses again. Like we knew she could leap and shit later, and that's the problem with setting this movie in the past. There was no point in setting this in the 80s except the dress-up montage, which, you know, they had like a mid-2000s children movie, like, oh, try on these outfits, Steve, montage, and he's like, I like the fanny pack. We're all supposed to laugh because we know fanny packs are hokey, but since he's from the olden days, he likes fanny packs, I guess. And that's the only time like the 80s setting actually makes sense. Everything else, like there was no point.
Well, they do like the Cold War thing where America and Russia almost nuke each other.
Yeah, but that was at one point. And at the same time, if like the U.S. armed a bunch of nukes because of the president's wish today, then Russia would still nuke the fuck out of us. Like it doesn't change. We're just not technically in the Cold War, but. Like if we tried that same shit, Russia's not technically communist anymore, but they are. So it's just stupid. There was no point in them doing it. They just thought it would be cool and stylized.
It also opens a whole bag of worms because the fucking Batman vs Superman implies that Wonder Woman like gave up being a superhero for like 80 years after World War I. Which, okay. That explains why she didn't stop 9/11 or the Holocaust, I guess. But here it shows
she does stop the Holocaust.
In this movie, it's shown that she swings around saving little girls from bank robbers in malls. And, like, fucking... Why didn't she stop 9/11?
Yeah, but also that brings to the can of the worms the morality of this movie when it's like... scanning through her pictures at one point, and it shows she like liberated all the people in the Holocaust. It's like kind of
Weird.
uncomfortable. I mean, I feel like you're kind of underplaying the tragedy, the heroism of the people who actually liberated the people of the Holocaust. Wonder Woman's like, I stopped the Holocaust.
You could say that about a lot of superhero stories, but yeah.
Oh, like what else?
The first movie.
I mean, the first movie, kind of. She just like runs around in the trenches for 10 minutes and then kills Ares. That's
Fair
a little
enough.
better than I single-handedly stopped the Holocaust, which this movie implied.
Fair enough.
Also, the reshoot at the end. This movie does the Michael Bay thing of switching aspect ratios, and the last scene switches to like a full screen aspect ratio, which I think was just a fuck up in the reshoots. Like I think they couldn't get their little fingers on the same camera because this was originally supposed to come out in June, so the ending would have made no sense. But since they switched it to Christmas, it kind of makes sense. Like you don't put in a summer blockbuster. Yeah. The end scene is the holiday season, and
the end is a sappy Hallmark scene where she's in like a little Christmas village in the middle of DC, and there's like
children
of every ethnic background running around and holding hands and singing. And then the guy who's
it's a beautiful holiday season.
The guy who's Steve Trevor possessed comes up, and Wonder Woman's like, "Hey, I've sucked your cock before." And he smiles, and they share a little cute moment, and he's like, maybe I'll see you around someday. Walks off.
Yeah.
And then a balloon flies into the air as Wonder Woman looks at it wistfully.
Yeah, I mean, also setting this
like
in the 80s.
Hallmark movie.
And the fact that they really didn't do anything with the 80s setting except for the second... It's like, okay, the first 30 minutes didn't need to be set in the 80s. Then there's the 30 minutes of Steve Trevor discovering the 80s and being like, wow, the 80s is really crazy.
No,
nothing else was the 80s. Because then they just went to Egypt, and it's like they don't change anything.
I mean, the most useless scene in the movie is the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, there's the
Olympic thing.
The first 15 minutes was like an Olympic thing. And the thing is, if you cut out that Olympic thing at the start, which had nothing to tie into the morals, I guess maybe like loosely, she's like, I tried to... Like, she, like, got knocked off of by a bush, and she was beating all these other Amazonians by far, and they're like, you're not ready because you lost. But she, like, cheated and then still won, but then they're like, and she was winning, so she would have won, but she, like, looked back, and somehow, even though she's an Amazonian, she got knocked off by a bush. Not a branch, just a bush. So she falls off her horse, and they're like, you tried to cheat, so you don't get it. And then she cried, and then they're like, you'll be a big hero one day and wear this cool armor. And she's like, okay. And then, like, I guess, like, her wishing for Steve Trevor to be reincarnated was cheating, because there's, like, 2 scenes where she's like, I don't want him to go away. That's the closest thing I could gather. But I guess, like, the main thing was introducing the armor, which they did at the way end of it, so they probably could have just had a scene where they told the story of the great hero who saved the armor. And then it turned out the hero of the great armor was the plastic-faced Linda Carter. So Aiden, what did you think of Wonder Woman 84?
It drags a lot. It's 2.5 hours long. A good portion of it... I have 2 theories on why the opening scene exists. One is because they're contractually obligated to put the little girl from the first movie in. And 2 is because if you didn't have that there wouldn't be... There's the really shitty mall action scene where she punches 3 guys, but there wouldn't have been like an actual action scene for like an hour and a half, basically.
Yeah.
Like until she gets to Egypt. A lot of this movie is wholly unnecessary, like everything in Egypt.
When you think about it too, I'm sorry to add on to this, but the mall scene should have been the opening scene. It shows Wonder Woman saving people and being a good person, and it sets up the MacGuffin Wish Rock. Yeah. Which is, and it started as
literally just a second opening scene after the first opening scene.
Well, then the ending scene could have easily been snipped too, because, well, they came up with it and added it later to make Christmas tear-jerking moment, I guess. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, everything in this movie's just a hodgepodge of other things, basically. I mean, I guess that's apparently Patty Jenkins' specialty, because the first Wonder Woman movie is just Captain America in World War One.
Yeah.
This movie, like Connor said, it rips a lot of things from Spider-Man, like Cheetah's transformation.
Tonally, like it's serious, but it's also cheeky and joking the whole time.
That
Spider-Man.
Wonder Woman winks at the camera at one point too during when she saves the kid in the mall. There's a little chubby girl that she saves, and the Wonder Woman winks at the camera, and then the little girl winks at the camera. There's 3 characters in this movie that literally wink at the camera. It's got a lot of Sam Raimi Spider-Man vibes, but not pulled off as well.
And somehow cheesier.
The fight against Cheetah, for whatever reason, the entire time Wonder Woman's swinging around on her lasso and Cheetah's swinging around on electrical wires. And it feels just like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 ending in a horrible way.
I also felt some Black Panther vibes, PS2 battle sequence.
There's a little bit of Black Panther vibe in there, especially at the end after Cheetah revokes her wish. She sits on a rock watching the sunset.
Which I totally called. I'm like, they're going to pull this scene from Black Panther where she looks at the sunset. I said she was going to die, though, which I don't think she died. They literally don't resolve anything. Like,
she gets electrocuted and then she sits on a rock and she's fine.
Also, is it kind of boring that the climax is like a little quick CGI fight and then she's like, you should really wish this all back to normal, and he's like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Then she's like, but what about your little boy? And he's like, good point. And then he wishes it back to normal, he runs on
and
foot.
And then everyone else in the world also wishes it back to normal.
Yeah.
Nobody was greedy. Everyone gave back their wish because Wonder Woman said to, I guess. Everyone wished their dead ones back to death because some lady voice said so on the TV.
Yeah. A very inspiring woman.
Yeah, there's pretty much everything just feels like it's ripped from something else. The flying scenes feel ripped directly out of the old Superman movies in terms of effects and the feeling they were going for, which they didn't accomplish because it doesn't have any like whimsy or wonder. It's just like awkward.
Also, they like improved the Wonder Woman character, gave her some new powers, and like put her through a story arc, and then like that's actually not actually important at all in the later movies. Which is the other issue with setting it in the 80s. She wanted to have the montage of him wearing silly 80s outfits, so they set the entire movie in the 80s.
Yeah.
That's it.
And there's just a lot of like really minor scenes that eat up a lot of time but have nothing to do with it. The Steve Trevor clothing montage of the part where after they fly away, they're trying to fly to Egypt to save the world from a magical genie man, and Steve Trevor sees fireworks and he's like, wow, let's take a detour and get our plane smashed by fireworks, and they fly through fireworks and do like flips and spins.
Also, they fly to Egypt and back in one tank of jet fuel from a plane they commandeered from the Smithsonian Museum, which
they
for
just
some
stole
reason
it and flew it away.
Why would the Smithsonian, like, how is that good for the plane overall to just park an airplane
and then
full of fuel?
The pacing is all over the place because after she wishes Steve Trevor away to get her powers back, she spends like literally there's a scene that's like 4 minutes long of her just swinging through the clouds like a monkey, and then she puts on the armor, and then the next scene cuts to her just flying to the place where the villains are.
That happens all the time.
It's weird. They waste so much time in some places, and then they're just like, okay, next thing.
Dude, they flew to Egypt. A scene happened where she's talking on the phone. Hard cut to them back in America with no explanation.
Well, no,
talking to Cheetah.
They do that thing where she punches the cars, and then they hard cut to America with no explanation.
No, because they get on the phone after. Oh wait. No, yeah, they punch the cars, then they get knocked off because Wonder Woman saves the little Afghanistan children that were playing kickball in the middle of the freeway.
Yep.
This movie's so shit. She saves the kids that were playing kickball in the middle of the freeway. So then she says, let's get to a phone, we gotta call Tiger Woman, whatever. And they talk on the phone, and they're like, what's going on? She's like, it's been in all the dead nations. I'm going to this place, but this is by the record store. And she says, okay.
Yeah,
and then they cut to them all there.
A voodoo guy in a record store who's like,
here's
the lore of The Rock, and then he leaves the movie.
And she's like, oh, the whole world would be destroyed. And then they fight in the White House. And then Cheetah becomes a cheetah man. This movie's so stupid.
It's a fucking
it makes no sense. It's a fucking mess.
Boring mess of stolen ideas. Nothing but stolen ideas.
Oh, this might be the worst DC movie, bro. I'm actually, like, breaking it down, and I'm like, actually, Zack Snyder looking awful confident right now, dude. Zack Snyder's looking... And I say this about every DC movie. Like, when I was watching Birds of Prey, I'm like, Zack Snyder's looking awful confident right now. And don't you like how every time a director makes the worst film they've ever made? And look, I've only seen Wonder Woman in this one. I don't know if Patty Jenkins has directed another thing, but I like how like a week ago Disney's like, Patty Jenkins is doing that Rogue One Star Wars movie, and now this is just getting review bombed. How much you want to bet Shadow canceled? Shadow canceled. They'd be like, Patty Jenkins' daughter died, and they're like, that hasn't happened. And then, Kathleen Kennedy's gonna have to take it upon herself to Zack Snyder. That
for the first Wonder movie, Patty Jenkins stole Captain America and made it competently a second time.
Yeah, but that's because the whole movie was just shut up and her running around deflecting bullets.
In this movie, Patty Jenkins stole from like 25 movies, crushed it into one movie, and it doesn't work in the slightest.
I thought this would be like... Originally, I was thinking this is going to be like Breakfast Club ripoff. Like, I thought it would be like, what if John Hughes met Wonder Woman? But it wasn't that. I mean, it's called Wonder Woman 84. What do you think that their idea is?
The 1984 thing is probably a reference to the George Orwell book, so I expected some like elaborate government conspiracy. I actually thought it'd be some kind of Winter Soldier bullshit. But no, it's just set in 1984 and there's no like government conspiracy or anything. Just
I didn't even think about that connection. You're right. Like, that would have been kind of cool, actually. Maybe that's what they were.
It would have been Winter Soldier 2, but
it would have been.
The first one was just Captain America.
What is Wonder Woman but DC's Captain America? They don't even have an Iron Man. They can't figure that out. They can't even figure out a Superman or a Batman.
They have an Iron Man. It's called Captain America, or it's called the Green Lantern. The first one with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, they tried.
They tried
and they failed. Now they have Captain America. Aquaman's supposed to be their Iron Man at this point, I think. Their only other successful franchise. What choices you got?
I think Aquaman's supposed to be like their Thor, big meaty guy who has a magical weapon and he lives in a weird world.
He lives in underwater Asgard.
It is underwater Asgard.
He lives in underwater Asgard.
And then the main villain of the Aquaman movie is his evil brother who wants to take over the kingdom.
Yeah, you're right. They just don't have an Iron Man. They tried.
It's wet Thor.
They shot their shot with the one. Right, and yeah, this was written by like Jeff Johns and like 16 other people. And I talk a lot about Jeff Johns on this show because he's a hack and that people liked him. And now I don't think people like him because like people give all this shit terrible reviews. I don't even think it's that they're sick of him. I think they just want him to go. It's comic fans. They're all
stupid.
I didn't want to say it, but they want Jeff Johns to go back to making Green Lantern where they shoot laser rings at each other. But the fact that anyone thinks Jeff Johns would write a good story is beyond me. Like, once I saw Jeff Johns was helping to write this, I was like, okay. But I didn't imagine it'd be this incoherent and bad. The fact that Steve Trevor came back to life, that doesn't shock me from Jeff Johns, because Jeff Johns' MO is like, what if we brought this hero back to life? And they're like, that's kind of stupid. Evil? No, not even evil. Just
zombies?
No.
Didn't he make the Black Lantern shit?
He did, but he also, at the end of that, he revived like 10 characters who had died. Before that, he revived the Flash, Barry Allen. Before that, he revived Hal Jordan. And these are like long dead characters. These were like in the Bible of these guys are never coming back superheroes. Like along with like Gwen Stacy, who, I mean, they never brought her back, but now she's a main Spider-Man character because she lives in the alternate world. So comics are pretty retarded.
Anyway.
But besides the point is Wonder Woman 84 was dog shit.
So Connor, would you recommend Wonder Woman 84?
Truthfully, if you have little baby children, they'll probably enjoy this movie. I mean, this movie even kind of has the Supergirl vibe when you think about it.
Oh,
some
with the rape
stupid
scenes?
plot. Oh, I forgot about the rape scenes. the out of place rape scene in your child, or attempted rape scene, implied rape as an
Just
adult.
like in
I know,
Supergirl.
but I guess little girls are gonna think, oh, she's trying to beat up
He's scared
one
stranger danger.
lion woman. But no, what I was gonna say is it's kind of like Supergirl, where they're like, let's just make up some stupid ass plot of like, or Catwoman. You know, Catwoman has the makeup thing. This one has the let's make a wish. We all have wishes bullshit. And Supergirl had the I'm jealous of you because you're prettier than me. It kind of feels like it's in that same vein.
Well, the villain, Cheetah, is also basically... You could also say that her arc is the same as Catwoman in Tim Burton's Batman, where she's...
Oh, yeah. She's like a nervous, shy girl.
Nervous, shy girl. She gets powers. She doesn't need her glasses anymore.
Sassy.
She becomes a cat-based super villain.
Yeah.
With a whip. I guess Cheetah doesn't have a whip, but she swings around on electrical wires. Kind of close.
I don't know. I think you're right. No, I think this movie's garbage. I wouldn't recommend it. If you're 6 years old and you're, I think little children would probably enjoy the film. I think that's what it's made for. It has a lot of Michael Bay vibes, except less sexual. So it's basically if you want to watch like a more incoherent Michael Bay film made for children, go for it. If you're a man-child who has no brain capacity, you'll probably like it. But honestly, I thought it was shit. I'm honestly, like, when I saw critics review it, I was like, oh wow, it's probably going to be bad, but, 60%.
Can't even prepare
I thought I would think
it
was bad, but I could maybe see how general audiences like it. I don't understand how people like this. It is horrible.
It's horrible.
So, anyways, Aiden, would you recommend Wonder Woman 84?
No. But I guess if you already have HBO Max, you
may as well.
Got nothing better to do.
If you don't have HBO Max and you're like...
Don't buy HBO Max.
They don't. They're not giving out the free trial now that they have.
Yeah, they canceled the free trial like 2 weeks ago to prevent people from watching Wonder Woman for free.
Yeah.
Don't buy HBO Max for Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman...
It's not worth it.
$15 a month. You could probably just buy an actual good movie for that much on Vudu or at your local Walmart or your local Best Buy or your local Target. Wonder Woman 84, it's ass. It sucks. It's the worst DC movie yet. Sue me. Sue me for saying it. Honestly, I was going to say it wasn't as bad as Birds of Prey, but honestly, when I think about it... I think it's worse than Birds of Prey. When I really think about it, I do believe it's worse than Batman v Superman and far worse than Suicide Squad. I rewatched Suicide Squad. This might be a hot take. It's terrible. Not as bad as Birds of Prey.
I wasn't groaning about that one. Batman vs Superman.
Batman vs Superman is a touchable tower, and it just got touched. Maybe not the extended edition. Like when you factor in the extended edition, the Batman vs Superman's worse just on merit of time. But if we're talking coherentness between them, like Batman lore be damned.
Superman is not coherent. It's not.
Did you watch that movie?
Yes. They're equally incoherent.
They're bad in different ways. I just think. Well, this one kind of gave me some laughs because it's so
less
retarded.
miserable than Batman vs Superman.
That's true.
Anyway, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Stay tuned. We're about to also pop off our 2020 roundup. So.
Yes, next or perhaps after we edit another Doug. Probably just next. We'll probably just do these 2 videos.
Yours coming pretty close.